Hi there, welcome to the Gardens and Graveyards channel. My name is Charisma and today we're meeting in the studio and we are going to talk about our annual planting plans. It is a very wet and rainy and chilly day here on the Oregon coast, and I grabbed myself a hot cup of tea and a notepad and started writing my list because very soon we will be going up to probably our favorite nursery. We might check out a new nursery to see if they have the annuals that we want that are that's a little closer to us. The nursery that we've been purchasing our annuals from is about 2.5 hours away. So, it's a 5-hour drive, and we spend 2 or 3 hours at the nursery picking out our plants. We always end up with more than our list is, and so we're there for a while. It becomes, an all-day thing. It's like an 8-hour, 9-hour day to buy some plants. Totally worth it most of the time because it's just super fun to just go, and I'm sure we'll go to that nursery anyway, but maybe if we find a nursery that has as high a quality of plants at a good price point that carries all the types of annuals that we want, we won't have to drive so far for the big load of plants. Because then the other thing that happens is we've been there on really hot days where, all those plants are stuck in our car for 2.5, 3 hours. It gets very humid in the car, but like the plants end up being kind of wilted from being so hot and moist in that drive. So anyways, I'm hoping, either way, we're going to be getting these plants, whether they're from a more local nursery, or we take a drive. So let me talk about the plants. Our theme this year, every year I do a theme. It helps me focus. There's millions of plants to choose from. And if I just go to the nursery, it just becomes like, who knows what I'm going to come home with. So it's very helpful for me to have a plan. And this last year, our plan was, I don't remember. We used like honey colors. I know we did the Super Tunia honey. Yeah, I don't remember what the plan was, what the theme was. Kind of like autumn colors, golds and reds and that kind of thing, I think. But this year I'm a lot more like laser focused on the entire garden, front yard, backyard, all the yards, having the same kind of thing going on. And the theme this year is pink lemonade. So everything is going to be pink and yellow. And I had already decided that last fall that I wanted to do a pink and yellow annual garden. And then we lost our precious dog a few weeks ago, Jasmine. And she was a girly dog. She loved like the pampering. She loved her hammock bed. She wanted nothing to do with rain. She hated the mud. Like, she was just a girl's girl. She was all white, really hard to keep clean. But she loved the color pink. And you might think I'm crazy because aren't dogs supposed to be colorblind? I just don't believe that, because from the time we got her at 7 weeks old, and immediately, I put a pink collar on her right away because she was like my little girl, right? But then the next collar, which came like just a few weeks later because she grew very quickly, she was Great Pyrenees and Marmot, and she got to be 85 pounds. She was on the smaller side of that dog breed. So and we didn't know she was only going to be 85. We thought she was going to get closer to, 110 or so. So we were prepared to like rapidly go through the collars as she grew. So I had a purple collar for the next one. She immediately got it off of her and chewed it up. I got her a purple leash. She chewed it up. I got her a purple blanket. She chewed it up. I switched back over to pinks. She has had the same pink leash since the day we brought her home. The same pink leash. Every other leash that I tried to get her that had any kind of purple in it, had black in it, had any other color, if it wasn't pink, she chewed it up or did something to damage it so that she was not going to be in any other color but pink. I tried purple collars on her, I think 3 times total, and every time she got out of them and she chewed them up. Or one time the collar was just off of her to let her, breathe, and she found it and she chewed it up. So like, she did not want to be purple or any other color. It was pink was her color. So I'm actually really glad that I had already decided to do pinks in my garden, because now that she's gone, it'll be kind of like a color, kind of an honor to her all summer long. Another color, yellow, is just so representative of her. She was such a sunny, fun personality. So I think this is going to be a really fun, just like a summer memorial towards Jasmine and the joy that she brought into our lives. So pink and yellow everywhere, and there's a million pink plants. And I kind of avoid having pink in my garden just because pink is not my favorite color, and I've come to appreciate it in the garden because in our climate, which is often overcast, pink really shines in the garden. And we have a lot of evergreens, broadleaf and needle evergreens, and they the pink really pops against the evergreens more so than like my favorite color is a dark purple. So you don't really see that when it's up against a dark green backdrop. Whites show up pretty good, but they tend to brown, and pinks just hold their color for a lot longer. If they fade, they just fade to light pink, or if they deepen, they deepen into a deep dark pink. So it's still pink, right? Like it holds the integrity of the color palette. So that being said, let's get into the plants that I chose for this year. In the front yard, our front yard is full sun, except for our rail baskets. One gets hot baking sun, the middle one just gets like sun, and then the one on the end gets a lot less sun. It gets less hours of sun. So with my rail baskets, I have to just kind of find a plant that does sun to shade or sun to part sun, and performs just as well. So with that caveat, all the other annuals will go in full sun in our front yard. So in the front yard, in what we call our estate corner, which just means our property is on a corner lot, right? So where the corner lot meets, it creates a L shape. And when you go to like fancy estates or like apartment buildings or something like that, and they have like their entryway is like filled like a broad corner entryway filled with flowers. That's basically what I'm trying to accomplish in my estate garden. And it's mostly all grasses, perennial grasses in there. And I love that all my grasses are in one space because I love the movement of a grass. I love mass planting of grasses, but I think that they look messy in the garden. So I don't love having grasses sprinkled throughout my garden. So I just kind of concentrate on that whole area just being a whole different like undulation of different types of grasses. So, but to kind of break that up and have a little bit of a different texture, and certainly to bring some bright color to the corner of the property, I do an annual planting every year, and we've been doing super petunias for the last 2 years. They work fantastic there. They do a lot of coverage. I want even more this year with a bigger impact. So this year in that corner, I'm going to plant 4 saffron finch super petunias, which are yellow with a white edge, and then 3 bubblegum super petunia vistas, which get huge. They get like 2.5, 3 feet wide, and they are light pink. So I will intermix them in some way and just cover a really big area. On our rail baskets that I was just talking about, that I have to be mindful of sun to part sun light conditions, I'm going to just be planting yellow begonias. It's specifically the solenia, yellow begonias, and from Proven Winners. All of these plants are Proven Winner plants, and they can take full sun to shade. And so I'm hoping that they just create this nice little mounding pillow, and I'm not doing any spillers or thrillers in these pots this year, or these baskets this year. On the hanging baskets that are in that same area, I'm just going to do Super Petunia bubblegum. So that will give me the pink and yellow, but not in the same area, but not in the same basket. And then around my cherry tree, I saw this really fantastic idea that somebody did, and I want to try it around 2 of my trees this year. And it's basically a pillow of plants, a pillow of annual flowers around the base of the tree, but not really planted in the ground, but planted in in grow bags around the base of the tree. And I'm going to plant lovey-dovey super petunias in there, and those are white with a pink stripe. The front containers, the big round cement containers that we have in front of our house, they're going to get moved. We are cutting down our cypress or Chamacyparis or whatever it is. Maybe they're arborvitaes. I don't know what they are. They're huge, and they were here when we moved in here, and they are a pain to maintain, and they're not our favorites, and we're just ready to let them go. So we are cutting those down this year, and then those big containers will move and go in their place, and the things that are planted in those containers are going to get moved out and put into the landscape. And then I'm going to plant Suncredibles, which is a Proven Winners sunflower, and more Super Petunia bubblegum. Then we have 6 containers just kind of like dotted throughout the garden, and I'm going to use a combination of the lovey-dovey, the saffron finch, and the bubblegum Super Petunias, and just have pops of the different colors throughout the garden. In each one of those containers. I want to keep it really simple and clean, so I'm not really going to be doing any combo planting this year. In the backyard on the deck, we have deck rail baskets, and they are going to be more of the yellow begonia with a super bell pink. So those will have the 2 plants in it, and the begonia will become the thriller, and the Super Bell Pink will become the spiller. If they don't have the yellow begonias, I might switch all of these out to pink begonias, because pinks are usually easier to get a hold of. And in that case, in the back, if I get pink, then I'll do the lemon slice mini vistas, which are yellow with a white stripe. Then in front of the greenhouse, we have 2 square containers on each side of the door, and right now they have tulips in them. We'll switch those out to Jazzberry Vista, or Super Petunia Jazzberry Vistas, and Daybreak Super Petunias. And that the Jazzberries are like a really deep, bright magenta color, and the daybreaks are, they also have a hot pink edge with a yellow throat. And then across, like catty corner from the greenhouse, we have the moon garden, which I typically only plant white plants in, but we can see 2 of those containers from a lot of the other parts of the garden. So in one of the hanging baskets, I'm going to plant more lovey-dovey. And then in the rail basket, I'm going to do the lemon slice mini vistas, which is the yellow and white stripe. And then in the 3 containers surrounding the moon garden, we will do mini vista whites. And in the pots on the deck, we will do white geraniums, which we did last year, and I loved them. And so we might intermix a little bit of the hot pink in with the white, do white and hot pink up there, because the hot pink did really, really well up there a couple of years ago. It was kind of fun. And just to change it up from just pure white, just, you know, and it'll reflect the lovey-dovey on the other side of the garden. And then also we have 3 new raised beds around the deck, and the 2 are full of cannas, and they will continue just to have cannas in there. And I will probably pop a couple of mini vistas, whichever ones I end up using up on the deck, I'll use in those 2 pots. But then the one that we built on the shade side along the driveway is in pretty good shade and not very much, it's like dappled light, but you know, it'll get like light, but it won't get sun. In that container, I'm going to do color blaze coleuses, and basically any of the varieties that I could get my hands on that have a pink, like a hot pink streak through them, just to keep in tempo with the rest of the garden. And then we'll also add in some begonias, whatever kind of begonia ends up on the deck, we'll use down there, and also some impatiens. So we'll do the opposite. So if I get pink begonias, I'll do a yellow impatient. If I do yellow begonias, I'll do a pink impatient, and fill out those that shade bed down there. And then down in the shade garden, where most of our hostas are planted, and we have a variegated dogwood. Underneath the dogwood, we have 2 planters that I plant up with annual flowers. And in those containers, I'm going to do pink begonias and yellow impatiens if that works out. Otherwise, I'll do it the opposite, but I'd prefer to do it that way. And then one other tree is down in the shade garden. That is my peanut butter tree, or Mexican hydrangea, or Clariodendron, Glory Bower, something like that. It goes by all these different names, but Clariodendron is the scientific name of this tree / shrub. It's my favorite tree. It gets these big heart-shaped leaves that smell like peanut butter, and the white blossoms smell like jasmine. Underneath that tree, I'm going to plant a pillow of begonias around the bottom. So whatever 6 begonias I could get a hold of, the pink or the yellow, that's what I'll put underneath there. And then the only other plants that I'm going to buy outside of that is 2 more vertigo purple fountain grasses, if my vertigos don't come back this year. They are, the last time I looked, they were strong in the ground. I couldn't pull them out of the ground, but I hadn't seen any new growth. I have another 2 weeks or so before I go up to the nursery to buy all my annuals. We'll see if they've pushed any new growth. If they have, I won't need to buy any more, but those are the only, like, kind of out of the pink and yellow realm that I'll be buying annual wise. Oh my gosh. And then of course Spencer has 3 areas that he grows plants in, and we have 2 rail containers, and I'm growing a ton of violas they're called antique shades, but they're pink and yellow. And I think we're going to plant those rail containers with those violas. And then he found some pink bacopa to put in his cement planters, and he's still making a decision about what to do in his tire planter. But I think we're really nailing down like what is going to go where this year, and I feel like it's so much easier to just like do this color palette. I think and also just having like really super clean, like if the planter's big enough to hold multiple plants, it'll just be multiple plants of the same plant. So if it needs 3 begonias, it'll be 3 yellow begonias. If it needs, 2 lovey-dovey, or if it needs 2 like super petunias, it'll be 2 of the same super petunias, that kind of thing. It makes it easy to find all the plants. It makes it easy to plant all the plants, and it really helps with the care of the plants because there's no mixture. It's not like this one needs to be a little bit more dry. This one needs to be a little bit, this one doesn't like fertilizer and this one does. And you don't have to think about any of that. Each container is just whatever that plant needs, which I think is going to be really simplified and easy to take care of this year, which I'm looking forward to. Some years I just want simplicity. I'm sure I'm missing a few little small areas that we, plant things. I'm thinking right now, like sometimes we put them in the ground around the roses, and sometimes we put annuals in containers and other parts of the garden, like down in the medicine garden. So leaving those spaces without a plan gives us an opportunity to spontaneously buy, but it also helps us with the theme. Like, do we need to spontaneously buy this if it's orange or red this year? No. But we do have the breathing room to buy something that is intriguing and interesting and fun and inspires us in the moment, if we can also pick up a pink or yellow plant that's going to work for the space. So I like to give myself that room and not be super rigid, because for me, the garden is really a lot about creativity. And if I force myself into a super rigid plan, it stops being fun. So I try to give myself a little bit of breathing room while also creating a container of, of a plan. So, 82 plants to begin with that's enough for now. And then, as the summer goes on. And those are just the annual plants. Those are the plants that will only be with us until like mid to late October, and then they get pulled because they don't survive our winters, and they're not, they don't look good after that. So there's obviously plenty of space to continue to buy perennials and shrubs and trees and all those good fun things too. I'm really looking forward to having these bright, fun colors back in the garden. I miss it. I am so ready for summer. I'm so ready to stop having all this rain. And I'm sure that you are as well. In the meantime, I hope that you're celebrating your life, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.